Struggling single dad saves girl from bridge. What he discovered next will change your life forever. Jake's heart pounded as he raced toward the old wooden bridge spanning the river, the fading sunlight casting long shadows across the planks. He had barely finished his shift at the diner when he noticed the young girl clinging to the edge, her eyes wide and terrified. Fear gripped him, but the instinct to protect was stronger. Without a second thought, he launched himself forward, arms reaching out to grab her just as she lost her grip. As he pulled her to safety, she collapsed against him, trembling. The world around them blurred into a cacophony of gasps and murmurs. To those watching, it was a moment that would define him, a struggling single dad who faced his own demons and became a hero. But for Jake, the only thing that mattered was the warmth of this little girl, Emma, whose grateful eyes spoke a silent language of relief and gratitude. In that heartbeat, he saw a flicker of his late wife's smile, her spirit infused in this miraculous moment. That night, as he tucked his teenage daughter, Lily, into bed, the weight of grief and loss pressed heavier on his chest. "Dad, you saved her. You're a hero," she whispered, eyes shimmering with pride. But Jake brushed the compliment aside, still haunted by the shadows of sorrow. He couldn't shake off the emptiness. Every laugh, every shared moment, felt like a reminder of the warmth that was now missing. He longed to fill that void for Lily, but what could he offer? Just more hard work and silent struggles. Time passed, and Jake found himself as the town's unexpected local hero. Emma's family rallied around him, showering him with gratitude and gifts. Yet, all he felt was inadequacy. Their wealth was evident: glistening cars, immaculate homes. To Jake, every dollar earned felt like a battle lost. Whispers followed him through town, a judgment clouding the air. Who was this man, really? Just a worker, a widowed father, struggling to make ends meet. They couldn't see past his economic status, despite his heroism. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned to weeks, and Jake's bond with Emma deepened. In late-night chats, they learned resilience from one another. She, too, felt the weight of expectations from her wealthy family, an invisible burden keeping her in a cage. They shared laughs and tears, two unlikely allies navigating their separate but intertwining worlds. But just as Jake began to reclaim a sense of purpose, confrontation loomed close. Emma's family saw him as someone beneath their status, while some townsfolk looked at him with scorn, oblivious to the power within his heroic act. Would he continue to let their stares define him, or would he stand tall against the current, blazing a trail for both his daughter and Emma? As the realization of his worth began to surface, he was more than a title, more than his struggles. Jake knew he had a fight ahead of him. The stakes were high, but so was his resolve. The outcome, too, had the potential to reshape their small town, igniting sparks of change if he could muster the courage to challenge the very structures that held him back. The bridge that had once become a place of peril now loomed as a symbol of hope and enlightenment. But would he lead the way, or would he slip back into the shadows? The sun rose slowly, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink as Jake stood on that familiar bridge once more. Today felt different. The air was charged, heavy with a sense of purpose. He could see Emma approaching, skipping lightheartedly, her laughter ringing like music in the stillness. Yet beneath his brave exterior, Jake felt the tremors of doubt. What could he really offer someone like her, against such a backdrop of wealth and expectations? Emma's family had invited him to speak at their charity event this weekend. She had insisted, her eyes shimmering with excitement. "You're part of my story now, Jake. You need to share it." But the weight of their world pressed down on him. He had spent so long fighting against the voice that screamed he wasn't good enough. Could he truly do this? Would anyone even care? "Hey, Jake, you're quiet today," Emma chirped, her small hand reaching for his. He smiled, but it felt thin. "Just thinking about this weekend," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. She glanced up, her face etched with determination. "It's not just about you. It's about everyone who feels like they can't make a difference. You showed me I could be brave. You have to let them see that too. Her words struck him, piercing through his self-doubt. Wasn't that what he wanted? To inspire? To show Lily and Emma that even the scariest moments could lead to something beautiful? As they walked, he shared stories from his past, each word pulling him further from the shadows and closer to a light he thought he had lost forever. But the chatter around town persisted. Why is he getting involved with the wealthy people? He overheard at the diner. Doesn't he know he doesn't belong? It rolled off some tongues like poison, and he felt each word stab at the deep-seated insecurities he fought against daily. Later that night, as he prepared for bed, terror gripped him. The power of what was expected of him felt enormous. He looked at Lily, sound asleep, her peaceful face a picture of innocence. Would he disappoint her? Would he disappoint Emma? He was supposed to be their rock, their strength, yet doubt threatened to pull him under. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Emma. Can't wait to see you speak. Remember, you're my hero. A single tear slipped down his cheek. It wasn't just about heroism anymore. It was about a larger intention about lifting others, pushing boundaries, and redefining the very meaning of courage. This was his chance to tell them all that even a man like him could rise from the depths. As the stars twinkled outside, Jake breathed in deeply, determination swelling inside him. He could do this. He had to do this. His voice would echo not just through the hearts of Emma's family, but through a community desperate for connection and hope. But first, he had to find a way to bridge the gap between their worlds. How could he forge a path that encompassed all their differences? As dawn approached, the horizon promised new beginnings. Yet the question lingered, would Jake take that first step toward change, or would he let fear hold him back once more? As the day of the charity event drew closer, Jake felt a swell of anticipation and anxiety. Each morning began with a pulse of hope, but by nightfall, doubt would creep back in, gnawing at him. He needed to find the strength within, the same strength he tried to show to Lily every day. On Friday, the air crackled with energy as he stood in front of his mirror, rehearsing his speech one last time. The sun streamed through the window, illuminating the small apartment, casting shadows where clutter had accumulated piles of bills, forgotten toys, remnants of a weary life. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Vision flooded his mind. Emma, smiling, the crowd, the lights, all of it so surreal yet palpable. Just be honest, he whispered to himself. Just speak from the heart. The charity gala venue was a grand hall that seemed tailored for Hollywood stars, filled with chandeliers sparkling like stars. As Jake walked in, he was engulfed by an air of sophistication that was foreign to him. He caught sight of Emma across the room in a flowing dress, her laughter infectious. She gestured for him to join her, and he felt a warmth swell in his chest. Jake, you made it. She beamed, her face lit with excitement. Yeah, well, here I am, he replied, trying to suppress his nerves. Just remember what I said. She squeezed his hand. Your story matters. An unexpected wave of comfort washed over him. He was here to share, to inspire, not just to speak as an outsider, but to cement his place within this community. As guests began to arrive, Jake mingled, engaging in small talk. He felt their eyes gauge him, assessing whether he fit the mold. He could practically hear their thoughts. Who was this guy? Just when he felt the urge to retreat, a familiar face walked through the door. Lily. Her eyes darted to find him, and as soon as they locked, she ran to him with open arms. Daddy. Hey, sweetheart, he exclaimed, lifting her into his arms. For that moment, Jake felt invincible. No judgments, no doubts, just the pure joy of being her dad. Later, when the time came to present, Jake's heart raced. He stood beside Emma on stage, looking out at the faces before him, strangers, neighbors, and friends. The microphone felt heavy in his hand. Hello, everyone, he began, his voice faltering. I'm Jake. He paused, taking in the silence that wrapped around him like a blanket. I wasn't always the best version of myself. I fought through many dark moments, feeling unworthy. A murmur rippled through the audience, but he pushed forward. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that it's never too late to step into the light even when you feel you don't belong. He shared stories, not just about his struggles, but how those struggles made him appreciate the little things, like a hug from his daughter or a walk with Emma. Each word he spoke seemed to resonate in the air, and he saw nods of understanding ripple through the crowd. Afterward, a woman approached him, her eyes shimmering with tears. "Thank you," she said. "I needed to hear that." As the crowd dispersed, Jake felt a profound shift within him. He had not just shared his own story, he had spurred connections that could help others navigate their own darkness. But just then, he turned to see Emma standing with a worried expression. "Jake, there is something you need to know." His heart dropped. What did she mean? What could be waiting that might shatter this moment of victory? Jake's stomach twisted as Emma's worried gaze bore into him. The spark of joy from his speech faded, replaced by a gnawing uncertainty. "What is it, Emma?" he asked, forcing the words out, though he could barely hear his own voice over the fading applause. "Let us step outside," she suggested, nodding toward the entrance. There was a tightness in her tone that worried him. He set Lily down gently, brushing a hand through her hair and kissing her forehead. "I'll be right back, okay?" he reassured her, though he wasn't sure who he was trying to comfort more. They moved through the crowd, navigating between glittering gowns and sharp tuxedos, laughter and chatter swirling around them. When they reached the terrace, a cool breeze hit Jake's face, grounding him. He looked out over the city skyline, the lights blinking like stars born from the earth. Emma sighed, fumbling with her hands. "Jake, I didn't want to tell you this tonight. It's too much, and I know how hard you've worked to get here," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "But I've heard from a very reliable source that your ex-wife, Sarah, is back in town." The words hit Jake like a punch to the gut. "What do you mean?" he whispered, his mind racing. He had buried the nightmares of their past, focused on his present, on Lily, on being better, on today. She has been seen at some places she used to go. They're saying she wants to reconnect. Emma's words fell heavy between them, each syllable like a stone. Jake turned away, trying to hold on to the moment he just had in front of everyone, the connection and acceptance he had finally found. "I can't go back to that," he said, the edge in his voice surprising even him. "She gave up on us, on Lily. I don't want that chaos back in our lives." Emma stepped closer, her eyes searching his. "But what if she wants to make things right? You don't know why she left. Maybe she has changed?" Emma's voice was soft, but the possibility twisted in Jake's chest. She was right. He didn't know what was in Sarah's heart now. Just the thought of her standing before him, asking for forgiveness, sent shockwaves of fear coursing through him. "I can't even imagine what that would mean for Lily," Jake replied, his voice low and shaky. "She doesn't need that. Not now." "Maybe she does," Emma murmured, her expression serious. "If Sarah's really back for good, you two will need to figure it out. For Lily's sake." Before Jake could respond, the sound of Lily's laughter floated through the air. He turned back to find her spinning with a group of kids her age, her whole face alight with joy. In that moment, his heart felt heavy and light all at once. Could he really risk their newfound peace? Would letting Sarah back and disrupt their fragile happiness? As he watched Lily, a mixture of dread and determination washed over him. He had fought for so long to make a life for them. Could one woman, one shadow from the past, unravel it all? "Jake," he heard Emma's voice break through his thoughts. "You need to decide what's best for your family. What's in your heart." But how could he even begin to answer that? As he stood there, unsure, the future loomed large in front of him, dark and uncharted. Just then, his phone buzzed in his pocket, pulling him from the precipice of dread. It was a text from an unknown number. "I'm back, Jake. We need to talk." His heart raced, and a cold sweat broke out on his forehead. "What now?" Jake's breath hitched as he stared at the screen, his mind racing. The words jumped out at him like they had a pulse of their own. "We need to talk." It felt like a thread, an anchor pulling him down into the depths of his past. He fought the urge to throw his phone away, to erase that text and pretend it was never sent. Emma watched him with furrowed brows, uncertainty clouding her expression. "What does it say?" she asked softly. He started, not quite ready to let the words trip off his tongue. The weight of the text hung between them, and he knew he needed to make a choice. He could either let his past come rushing back or stand firm in the life he had built with Emma and Lily. "Jake?" Emma pressed gently, her voice like a hand on his shoulder, grounding him. "It's from Sarah," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The name felt like a foreign object that had lodged itself in his gut, distending his reality. Emma inhaled sharply. What does she want? I don't know, Jake confessed, the truth curling around the edges of his mind. But it can't be good. Emma squared her shoulders, determination flashing in her eyes. Then don't answer. Don't give her the power to disrupt your life, your family. Jake looked back at Lily, who was still laughing and playing, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around her. The thought of hurting her, of dragging her into a situation he hoped to leave behind, gnawed at him. Is it selfish to ignore her? He mused, his thoughts spiraling. What if she really wants to reconnect? For Lily's sake. Did she ever put Lily first before? Emma shot back, her voice laced with urgency. You know what it was like for you too. How hard it was to recover from that. She left. She made her choice. Jake felt the sting of truth in her words, a sharp reminder of scars he thought were healed. He closed his eyes, feeling the cool night air against his skin, as if nature itself was pleading with him to decide. Maybe there's a way to find out what she really wants without engaging too much, he said, recalling the countless times he second-guessed his choices. Maybe I could just meet her, clear the air. Just once. Emma's expression shifted, her features softening but still edged with concern. Jake, you're stepping into unknown territory. You must think of Lily first. He nodded, knowing she was right, but the pull of curiosity tugged at him. Did Sarah really want to make amends? Or was this another selfish gesture from a woman who had always acted in her own interest? He glanced again at his phone, the little screen staring up at him, demanding an answer. Jake, Emma interrupted his thoughts. Whatever decision you make, remember you're not alone in this. You can lean on me. Her support wrapped around him like a warm blanket, soothing the tension in his chest, but it didn't erase the uncertainty waiting on the horizon. I know, he said finally, his voice steadier, but doubt still flickered inside him. Suddenly, Lily ran up to them, her victory dance in full swing, cheeks flushed with happiness. Daddy, did you see? I won. Jake gathered her in his arms, a rush of love flooding him, almost drowning out the chaos in his mind. I did. You were amazing, sweetheart. As she giggled, Jake's heart wrestled with conflicting desires. This was the life he wanted to protect. How could he possibly risk it? He set her down, trying to watch her with the clarity he needed. Just hold on, he murmured to himself. Let us see what happens next, but the unknown lingered, filling the air with a weight he couldn't shake. What if confronting Sarah opened doors he wasn't ready to deal with? Could he really ignore it? Or would this choice ripple through the lives of everyone he loved? The question hung in the air, begging for an answer. He felt it thrum in his chest, a prelude to whatever came next. And just then, his phone buzzed again, a reminder of the past he thought he could outrun. Tonight 8 p.m. The old cafe. Don't keep me waiting. His heart dropped. What was he going to do? Jake stared at the phone, disbelief clawing at him. The finality in Sarah's message was blunt, yet unsettling. She didn't just want to talk. She demanded it, giving him no room to breathe. His palms began to sweat as the seconds ticked away, feeling the weight of every moment multiply. Do you need to answer? Emma asked, her voice now sharper, more alert. The light from the setting sun framed her face, making her worry more visible. The joy of Lily's laughter faded into a distant echo. I don't know, he stammered, his thoughts racing. The struggle to balance curiosity and caution felt like a heavy boulder on his chest. Jake, think about it. What if this is another game for her? She is not just going to walk back in and be the mother Lily needs. You can't gamble what you have for a chance at closure. Emma's words wrapped around him, a lifeline in a turbulent sea. But what if it's more than that? He shot back, frustration igniting within him. What if she is trying to change? What if she wants to be part of Lily's life? The last sentence slipped out before he could filter it, and he winced. Emma's eyes softened, but her resolve didn't waver. You can't let hope blind you, Jake. You've worked too hard to create this family. Are you willing to risk it on a what-if? He wanted to snap back, to dismiss her concern. But deep down, uncertainty gnawed at him like a persistent itch. He felt trapped between two worlds, his responsibilities as a father and the haunting shadows of a past that refused to be forgotten. The sun dipped lower, casting an orange glow, and in that moment, he saw Lily twirling blissfully around the yard, her carefree spirit radiating warmth. This little girl was all that mattered. Could he confront Sarah without dragging her into the mud? Maybe I'll go, Jake found himself saying, almost against his will. The words felt heavy, loaded with implications. The possibility of tomorrow held its breath in that instant. Jake, please, Emma said desperately, reaching for him. He could see the conflict in her eyes, her loyalty to him, and her instinct to protect Lily battling against the whisper of compassion. Before he could decide, Jake's finger hovered over the keyboard. He began to type, hesitating over every word. I'll meet you, he wrote, but only to understand what you want. He hit send before he could talk himself out of it. A quick response pinged back. Good. I'll see you then. The room swirled with everything he felt. Fear, confusion, and he hated to admit it, some curiosity crept in. Could this lead to closure? Could Jake finally lay the past to rest? What did you just do? Emma's voice was flat, and he could see the disappointment flickering across her face. I had to know, he replied weakly. But deep down, he knew that wasn't a complete answer. As darkness fell, he found it hard to sleep. His mind raced with scenarios each more dreadful than the last. Memories of Sarah's unpredictable behavior haunted him like an unseen specter, leaving a chill in the pit of his stomach. When morning broke, with sunlight streaming through the curtains, he felt trapped inside the web of his own making. Emma was quiet, her hurt palpable but unspoken. Do you regret it? She asked at breakfast, her eyes glued to her coffee cup. He swallowed hard, knowing he had walked into dangerous territory. I don't know yet, but I have to find out. Deciding to face the day's event felt like stepping off a cliff without knowing where the ground was. Could this choice truly rewire his future? As he dropped Lily off at school, a sense of dread pooled in his chest. He watched her skip inside, unaware of the storm forming on the horizon. Could he protect her from the fallout of a past he had fought so hard to forget? With every tick of the clock, the shadows of doubt piled up. Would Sarah's presence disrupt everything? The lingering question pulled tighter as the day rolled forward. What awaited him at the old cafe? And would it unravel the fragile peace he had fought to build? His phone buzzed again. Are you on your way? Jake took a deep breath, ready to dive into the unknown, every beat of his heart like a drum roll announcing what lay ahead. Would he be ready for whatever Sarah had to say? Would facing her help heal the wounds of his past, or would it serve to deepen them? The answer loomed just ahead, waiting like a dark wave, ready to crash over him when he least expected it. Jake arrived at the old cafe, his stomach churning like a turbulent sea. The familiar scent of fresh coffee and baked goods usually brought him comfort, but today it only added to the chaos in his head. Sparse tables filled with the morning rush were mostly occupied. Colorful pastries lined the display like indicators of normalcy, but nothing felt right. As he stepped inside, he let the doors swing shut behind him, reluctant to cross the threshold into a conversation that could shatter his carefully constructed world. He spotted Sarah seated at a corner table, her back to him. The light from the window enveloped her in a soft glow, making her appear almost ethereal. Part of him wanted to turn around and walk away, but another part, the part that had kept him up all night, urged him to take the plunge. He approached cautiously, each step a weighted reminder of the past. She turned slightly at the sound of his footsteps, a smile gracing her lips that felt like a dagger rather than a welcome. Jake, she said, her voice softer than he remembered. I'm glad you came. Let us just get this over with, he replied, a roughness laced with urgency and irritation. Of course, she answered, but the way she wrung her hands showed her own nerves. It caught him off guard. Maybe she wasn't just the same girl he had known. A spark of sincerity flickered in her eyes. He sat across from her, feeling the space between them like an abyss. They both knew the stakes, yet the silence grew heavy. Eventually, Jake broke it. What do you want, Sarah? She hesitated, the moment heavy with unspoken words. Jake, I've been thinking about everything. Her gaze dropped to the table. I know I hurt you. I know I disappeared. But I've changed. He scoffed, disbelief bubbling to the surface. You think I'm just going to take your word for it? You waltzed back into town after how long? And I'm supposed to believe you've had a change of heart? She squared her shoulders, meeting his eyes fiercely. You don't understand. It wasn't just about me. This time it's about Lily. His mouth went dry at the mention of their daughter. What do you mean? He asked cautiously. She's a part of me, too, Sarah said, desperation creeping into her tone. I want to be a part of her life. I want to be a mother. The words struck him like lightning. It was a tantalizing idea, yet it felt like a betrayal to everything he had worked to create, this safe haven for Lily away from chaos. You think you can just show up and be her mother after all this? You have to understand I'd move mountains to protect her. I know, and I want to earn your trust, she pleaded, her voice cracking. I'm not asking for everything at once. Just a chance to prove myself. Jake's heart raced as he struggled to process what she was saying. Could there really be a possibility for reconciliation? Or was this just another false dawn? The silence stretched painfully as he weighed his options. Lily's laughter echoed in his mind, the sound of her joy, the innocence she deserved. Could he risk it all for a what-if? Jake, please. Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts. I can't change if you don't give me the chance. The afternoon light shifted, drawing shadows across the table, reminding him of the uncertainty ahead. He closed his eyes briefly. Anxiety coursed through him like electricity. What does that even look like? He demanded, frustration creeping in. If you want, she said, leaning in, I could start by getting to know her. Slowly, one step at a time. The walls he had built around his heart began to crack, but the weight of the past still loomed like a dark cloud. Was this a step toward healing, or the beginning of another storm? His fingers trembled as he sought clarity. Just as he opened his mouth to respond, the cafe door swung open, and in rushed a group of children, all giggles and joy, ready for an adventure, uninhibited by the heavy baggage of adults. Lily was among them. He could see her bright smile, her laughter overtaking the room like the sun bursting through clouds. Jake's heart sank as he turned back to Sarah, the questions weighing heavily. Could he really place his trust in her, knowing what was at stake? When the moment settled, could he find the courage to say yes, or would fear guide his decision? The questions vibrated in the air, louder now, demanding answers, as they both looked up to see Lily's carefree figure rushing toward them, oblivious to the world of adults swirling around her. What awaited Jack, Sarah, and Lily? Would their paths truly intertwine, or would the past continue to haunt them? Lily burst through the door, her laughter bubbling over the noise of the cafe like fireworks lighting up the sky. Her small feet danced across the worn tiles, her ponytail swaying behind her as she spotted her father. In that instant, everything shifted for Jake. The weight of his decision tangled with the light of her joy, creating a storm roiling in his chest. Daddy, look, she shouted, waving an intricately drawn picture. Her cheeks were flushed with excitement. I made this at school. It's us. You, me, and she hesitated, her eyes flicking toward Sarah. Jake's heart thudded painfully as he glanced at Sarah, whose eyes reflected a mixture of hope and fear. This was the moment, the pivotal point where their past could either shatter or reshape into something new. Lily, that's amazing, Jake managed, forcing a smile that fell short of his racing thoughts. He knelt to her level, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. What do you want to do with it? Show it to you. And maybe put it on the fridge? Her voice carried the weight of innocence and trust, making Jake's stomach clench. Sarah bit her lip, eyes glued to their daughter. Lily, that's beautiful, she said, a softness emerging in her tone that felt poignant yet strange. Lily's smile widened even further at her mother's words. For a moment, the cafe faded away, the noise, the other patrons, the chaos of life. It was just the three of them, a fragile circle of potential. But as Jake looked at Sarah, fragments of betrayal flashed through his mind, making his resolve waver. Can we get ice cream? Lily asked, tilting her head as she pulled at Jake's heartstrings. Please, Daddy. Jake grimaced inwardly. The last thing he wanted was to indulge in an outing that could turn bittersweet. But who was he to deny his daughter a fleeting moment of joy? He glanced at Sarah again, her face etched with a mixture of longing and uncertainty. Why not? He conceded, forcing a hopeful tone. If it's okay with your mom. The words felt heavy on his tongue, laden with implications. Lily clapped her hands, unbothered by the tension that hung in the air. Yay, ice cream. Her excitement was contagious, a guilty pleasure as bright as her laughter. You want to join us? Jake barely whispered, internal conflict churning like quicksand. The question hung between them, a precipice built on this shaky truce. Of course, Sarah answered, her voice steady but her eyes betraying her apprehension. I'd love to spend some time together. The decision felt monumental, almost surreal. As they walked outside into the crisp air, Jake's mind raced. Was he really allowing Sarah back into their lives? Was it wise to let his daughter be immersed in the memories they'd fought so hard to distance themselves from? Lily skipped ahead, her blissful ignorance a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside Jake. Each step echoed with possibilities, but also with the haunting specter of betrayal. They arrived at the ice cream shop, the vibrant colors and smiles wrapping around them like a warm hug. While Lily bounced between flavors, Sarah reached for Jake's arm, stopping him in his tracks. "Jake, I know I've made mistakes," she said softly, her eyes searching his face. "But I can't change if you don't let me back in." He hesitated, caught in the moment of her sincerity. The light in her eyes gave him a flicker of hope, but could he really risk their happiness, their safety? The sound of laughter broke into his thoughts as Lily popped back into view, cradling 2 cups of colorful ice cream like trophies. "Look, I got the rainbow swirl." Jake watched her with a mixture of love and fear, his heart racing as he faced Sarah's earnest gaze. If he gave her a chance, could it be the beginning of a brighter future for them all? Or was he opening the door to a heartbreak that would reverberate through their lives forever? With the world around him fading, Jake realized he stood on the brink of a decision that could redefine everything. Would he take the leap? Would his heart find a way to forgive, or would it collapse under the weight of the past? The ice cream melted in Lily's hands, and in that moment, Jake knew everything was about to change. As they settled at a table outside, laughter filling the air, he took a deep breath, daring to hope for what lay ahead. But just as he gathered the courage to speak, a familiar figure appeared in the distance, bringing a rush of unease that left him breathless. Was the past truly behind him, or was it about to pull him back into chaos once more? Jake's heart dropped as he squinted into the sunlight, trying to make sense of the figure approaching. The familiar silhouette sent a jolt through him. It was Mark, his old friend, the man who had stood by him through his darkest days, or had he? That thought tripped Jake's heart, and he felt the weight in his chest grow heavier. "Jake!" Mark shouted, waving his arms, oblivious to the frozen scene at the ice cream table. Lily was blissfully licking her ice cream, completely unaware of the wave of anxiety clouding her father. "Hey, Mark." Jake forced a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. He felt caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Mark had been there after Sarah's betrayal, helping to pick up the pieces. But as the past echoed loudly in Jake's mind, old wounds throbbed. "Mind if I join you?" Mark asked as he reached the table, grinning. His enthusiasm contrasted sharply with the turmoil Jake was wrestling inside. Before Jake could respond, Mark leaned down to hug Lily. "Little artist, what are you up to?" "Making ice cream art." She giggled, showing off the colorful mess on her cone, her innocence brightening the dullness that crept into Jake's heart. "Looks amazing. Just like you, kiddo," Mark said, tossing her a wink that made her beam. Jake watched the exchange, caught in a mix of relief and worry. Would Mark's unannounced appearance reignite old memories? Would it stir what he tried so hard to bury? "Glad to see you, man," Jake replied, trying to keep the conversation light. "Things are well, you know." He gestured vaguely, hoping his friend would catch the undertones of his struggle. "Yeah, I remember. If you ever want to talk," Mark started, his expression shifting from jovial to serious. "Let us not," Jake interrupted, sharper than he intended. He felt the need to erect barriers, defensive walls around his pain. Mark frowned, clearly taken aback, but nodded in acceptance. "Right. Sorry." Lily, sensing the abrupt shift, peeked at her dad. "Daddy, can we go to the park later? Please. I want to play." Her voice broke through the tension like a ray of sunshine breaking through clouds. "Sure, honey. Hey, I'm all for ice cream and parks," Mark chimed, trying to lighten the mood again. "Count me in. I haven't had a good slide in years." That glimmer of hope flickered as Jake watched Lily bounce back to her cheerful self, a stark contrast to the weight pressing down on him. But Jake couldn't shake the feeling of unease. With Mark around, the comfort of familiarity was tainted. Was he putting Lily at risk by reopening the door? "You sure, Mark?" It's been a tough time," Jake finally blurted out, regret lacing his voice. "Jake, come on. I get it. Just trying to help," Mark replied, a hint of frustration creeping in. "Help? You call this help?" Jake said, voice rising slightly, passion flaring as his old insecurities bubbled to the surface. "Look, man, I'm here for you. We've been through hell together. I won't let you go down this road alone. Mark shot back, his tone growing more intense. Lily looked between the two men, confusion etched on her face. Daddy, are you mad? Jake's heart twisted at her innocent question. No, sweetheart. Just talking, that's all. Mark clenched his jaw, and Jake saw their old friendship dip precariously on the edge of a knife. What was happening? Why was the tension suffocating the joyful air they were trying so hard to maintain? The moment stretched, heavy with unspoken words. Jake's thoughts spiraled. Could he lean on Mark? What if it meant exposing Lily to a friendship that held so much unresolved pain? Finally, Mark sighed, pulling back. Okay, I get it. But I came here to make sure you're good. I'd hate to see you push everyone away. The weight of their shared history, the bond they had almost resurrected, suddenly felt heavy and impossible to navigate. Would confronting their past pull them both under? As they pondered under the brilliant sun, Jake realized he had a decision to make. Who to trust? How to protect Lily? And at what cost? Just then, a shadow loomed over them, blocking out the sun, and Jake's stomach dropped as he turned to see another familiar face from his past. What was happening now? Why did it feel like the universe was dragging him through memories he was not ready to face? The shadow belonged to Sarah, standing at their table, the air thick with tension as her eyes searched for Jake's. She hesitated, caught between the past and the present. Jake felt his heart race, dread coursing through him like ice water. Jake, she said, her voice barely rising above the quiet hum of the cafe, I didn't expect to find you here. Yeah, well, this is a regular spot, he replied, his throat tight. The world around him faded as he concentrated on the very real possibility of chaos erupting. Lily, with her innocent curiosity, looked between her father and her mother. Mom, look, I got ice cream. For a brief moment, Sarah's face softened, and she smiled an actual, genuine smile as she bent down to meet Lily's gaze. That looks delicious, sweetheart. What flavor did you pick? Jake's insides twisted. Did his daughter not sense the tension that crackled in the air like static electricity? Rainbow swirl. Want a lick? Lily offered, leaning over her cup, innocent and unguarded. Sarah chuckled, the sound unsteady but warm. Who could resist that? Jake could see the flicker of maternal instinct trying to break through the walls of anguish and hurt. But it was dangerous territory. He had fought so hard to protect Lily from the darkness surrounding Sarah's past. Mark cleared his throat, awkwardness filling the space. So, this is a reunion of sorts? He tried to lighten the mood, but the tension was palpable. Sarah straightened, her demeanor shifting. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just needed to talk to you, Jake. Now it's not really the time, Sarah. Jake's voice came out harsher than he intended as his fingers clenched around the edge of the table. She looked hurt, and instinctively Jake felt the urge to soften the blow. Can we just do this another time? He added, trying to keep things civil. I understand, Sarah responded, her tone strained but determined. But I want to let this go. I want to be a part of Lily's life. That is why I came back. The weight of her words pressed down on him, igniting the conflict within. Could Sarah really change? Was he willing to take that risk? Mark watched intently, caught in the awkward crossfire. Look, Sarah, Jake started, but before he could finish, Lily piped up, her excitement bubbling over. Mom, can we all go to the park together? Please. There it was, innocence colliding with harsh realities. Jake felt his heart break as he looked at his daughter. Lily, honey, please, Daddy. She begged, her eyes wide and hopeful. It could be fun. We can all play. Jake's resolve faltered as panic flooded through him. The weight of his choices loomed larger than ever. Could he truly trust Sarah with the two most important people in his life? He glanced at Mark, who raised an eyebrow as if to say, how do you want to handle this? Okay, Jake conceded slowly, but just for a little while. The words slipped out as if they had a mind of their own. Lily clapped her hands with glee, while Sarah stifled a breath of relief. Thank you, she said, the joy clear in her voice. Jake felt a wave of regret wash over him. Had he made a mistake? As they left the cafe, confusion buzzed in his mind. The park was a few blocks away, and the sun shone brightly above them, yet a storm was brewing in his heart. At the park, Lily raced ahead, eager to explore, pulling both parents into her carefree world. Jake held back, unsure of where to place himself in this moment. "Jake, thank you for this," Sarah said, stepping closer to him. "I want to make things better, not just for me, but for Lily." "Words don't mean anything unless backed up by actions," he replied firmly. Yet inside he felt the tiniest flicker of hope. Just then, Lily squealed as she swung high into the air, laughter ringing out like music. For a moment, everything felt right as Jake watched Lily's face radiate joy. But as quickly as it appeared, doubt set in again. As Sarah stepped beside him, creating an unasked bond of closeness, Jake felt a flood of vision and memories. The love they once shared was overshadowed by pain. "Jake," Sarah began but paused when she saw the hesitance on his face. "Just give me a chance to show you I can be present in Lily's life. I can prove it. What if this is just another game?" Jake shot back, his voice shaking with emotion. "I can't put her through that again. I won T." Sarah's expression softened, sincerity breaking through her past. "I need you to trust me. If I'm truly back, it's for both of you." He longed to believe her, but felt the shadows of doubt dance through him. "You have to understand that I won't let you hurt her again. Not now. Not ever." At that moment, Lily came running back, panting and flushed with excitement. "Can we go on the slide? Please, Daddy." "Sure, kiddo," he replied, forcing a smile while glancing at Sarah. "Let us go." As they joined Lily on the playground, Jake found himself on the edge of a new beginning, a path fraught with uncertainty, but with the potential for healing, redemption, and joy. The future loomed like a cloud of dust waiting to settle. The question remained: could they successfully rebuild trust within this fractured family? The undeniable bond of parenthood began to strengthen not just Jake, but the three of them. Maybe, just maybe, the ties of love could weave them all back together in a way that made sense. With laughter and cautious optimism surrounding them, Jake took a step towards Sarah, breathing deeply and ready to embrace whatever came next. Today was just the beginning, but perhaps this chaotic journey was leading them down a more hopeful path after all. The circle was slowly closing. The past was still there, but now, with every passing moment, they could forge a new future together. Your support is crucial, and it's time to make an impact. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show you care. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. I want to know your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how vital your support is. Let us keep the stories coming.